Welcome everyone to Vertical E-commerce. We have on the panel today Mohammed Mekki, who is the co-founder and managing director of Namshi.com. And we have Mona Ataya, CEO mumsworld.com. And finally, Rasha Houri, founder and CEO of Dia Group. So I'm actually very thrilled to be on the panel with two other women. It's a nice change from the last one, and one man. And I do have a personal interest in e-commerce, and I have some questions which I think the audience will share with me. So let's very quickly just go through what each of your businesses do and who do you sell to. If you'd like to start, Mohammed.
Sure, it'd be my pleasure. So Namshi is a fashion e-commerce business based in Dubai, serving the GCC and now Egypt. So we basically offer a range, everything from shoes to clothing to accessories to this market. We have two major value propositions to the customer. One is a really broad selection. So we are not like a flash sales or a shopping club kind of a site. We have it's a bread and butter e-commerce website that has a range of styles that come from brands everywhere from Europe to Brazil to the local market. And then convenience is the second major selling point that we have, that we'll deliver to your door free of charge and make returns super easy for you. So we're bringing this kind of a model to this market, which doesn't quite exist yet for this kind of a broad scale in each one of the markets that we serve.
All right, thanks very much.
Sure.
Mona.
Hello. Hi, I'm Mona Ataya, the CEO and founder of mumsworld.com. Mumsworld is an online marketplace for all things mother, baby, and child. Essentially what we do is we combine thousands of merchants and suppliers from across the region and from abroad under one umbrella to give power to the consumer to search, compare, and buy from the largest compendium of products in the market. Essentially our vision with Mumsworld is to empower the parent to make the best decisions for their families. How do we do that? A, by giving them the widest choice of products. B, by giving them the best, most competitive prices. And C, by delivering to their door quickly and conveniently. Customer service is at the heart of everything we do. E-commerce is really only as good as the customer experience from A to Z. And essentially that is what we're doing with this particular vertical.
Thank you. And Rasha, finally.
Well, I'm in the luxury goods vertical, and I'm the founder and CEO of Dia, so I'll start with that. But we first launched a luxury independent designer website called Dia Boutique about 2 years ago. And on the back of that, last month, we launched Dia Style, which is a luxury platform with a shopping community side. So we're very much focused on trying to bring together all of the international brands into the Middle Eastern market. So we have something like 50,000 products on our website available in English and Arabic from all of the largest distributors and brands from Europe and the US. So slightly different positioning than the others. We're focused very much on the high-end side of the market.
Okay, very interesting range there. So what I want to talk about today is logistics. I want to talk about payment gateways. I want to talk about customer service. Obviously, is key there. So, how are you getting your product to your customer?
Sure. So we're proud to be strategic partners with Aramex.
Okay.
We actually have our warehouse facilities in Dubai at an Aramex facility. So we're quite well integrated with Aramex as our partner for both warehousing and for shipping out to everywhere that we ship. So they've provided us the facility as well to allow our customers to pay by cash and for us to be able to get the broad reach that we have through Saudi, through the entire GCC, now into Egypt. So that's how we've structured our relationship, and they're the primary and main shipper that we use.
So you actually hold stock in the warehouse
Exactly.
in Dubai, and then they take care of it.
Exactly. So one of the ways that we want to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace is along the point that you were discussing around customer service as well, and the customer experience. So we want to have the broadest selection within our own warehouses so that we can immediately ship these out into each and every one of our customers across the market, as opposed to waiting for a product to come in from a supplier and then sending it out. So we're building up an entire inventory of global brands in Dubai at our warehouse.
Okay. Mona, I had an interesting conversation with a member of your team in Dubai a couple of weeks before coming, and the range of products that you actually hold is quite phenomenal, and I've seen it grow since you started. How do you manage all that? So how are you getting the products then from the other side, from the suppliers? Who's dealing with that, and who is your logistics provider?
Okay. We carry today on the website 45,000 products for the mother, baby, and child segment, and we grow by approximately 400 to 500 products every single day. With this particular demographic and psychographic, choice is key. So for a parent, when they're looking for a car seat for their child or a baby bottle, for instance, they don't want to be limited for choice. So essentially what they want to see is the widest selection with transparent information so that they are empowered to make the right decisions. How do we achieve that? We work with distributors and retailers across the region and abroad. With the distributors, we work on a drop ship basis for approximately 70% of the product. The 30% of the products that move very, very fast, we carry in stock. The international suppliers, obviously, where we carry exclusive ranges, unique ranges to us, we carry these in stock. Our delivery locally, and when I say locally, we have operational hubs in Saudi Arabia and in the UAE. So the delivery in Saudi and UAE is 2 to 3 days. Across the region, it's 5 to 7 days tops. So if I get an order from Bahrain or Qatar, Lebanon, Jordan, 5 to 7 days is generally our shipment rate.
Thank you. Okay, Russia.
We work on a very different model. We don't hold stock, we don't hold on inventory. Everything we do is through retailers and designers who already have their own inventory. For Dia Style, we work with some of the best retailers who already have the best buying teams available for all of the best international brands. I mean, we can take Net-a-Porter as an example, and they actually house some of the best products online. So we work very closely with them, and we offer all of those products to the Middle Eastern market in English and in Arabic. So we're actually giving access to the Middle Eastern market, the Arabic version of these products. So it's much more seasonal, exclusive products that are available. And on Dia Boutique, we work directly with the designers who do more of a dropship model, so directly from the designer to the customer. And we basically ship from anywhere to anywhere. So it's a slightly bigger model from the Dia Boutique side. So we are not holding any inventory, although we do have an element of customer service where we offer the ability for anyone on Dia Style to call a stylist, and we're there to help them and hand-hold them through the purchase and the process and the return and everything.
That's very, very interesting. Okay, and now the second biggest problem, which is the payment gateway. So if we can stay with you, Rasha, do you have your payment gateway based in the Middle East? Is it abroad? How does it work?
We actually are using, for Dia Boutique, we're a UK-based company, and we're actually using a payment gateway process in the UK.
Which I believe is probably easier.
Which is easier, yeah. It's you sort of register online, sign up, and in about a day it's online. We're also now have decided to add some of the options from the Middle East for the credit card, sort of the prepaid card options, which now have created APIs that you can integrate into your payment systems. But we haven't gone into the COD, cash on delivery side, so we've very much focused on the payments. Now, again, with the luxury market, it's much more comforted with buying online, with having a credit card, with a higher spend. So those people are usually more willing to convert on a credit card spend online.
Okay, Mona?
We offer different payment options. Cash on delivery is one. Visa, MasterCard is the second. PayPal is the third. Transfer is the fourth. Credit card payments and cash on delivery are our more popular, although PayPal is catching up recently. We've had no problems. We've heard initially that cash on delivery can sometimes raise problems in the region where essentially people may order and at the delivery point may abort the purchase, if you like. We have not, to date, had that experience. And perhaps the reason why we haven't had that experience is our particular, again, our demographic is very unique. So when that parent is making the purchase, we qualify the purchase either by phone or by email, so we're certain that that purchase is in essence legitimate, and that's when we fulfill the order.
Okay, and yourself, Mohammed, did you have to set up a payment gateway in Dubai? And if so, how did you do that?
So, as I was saying a little bit earlier, we have two major options right now for payments. One is credit card, and the other is cash on delivery. PayPal coming soon. For the gateway, we opted to go with a European gateway just for speed and ease, basically. And so that's been working well for us. We've seen a lot of demand for cash on delivery, as was expected. And really, one of the things that really drives us forward is we see ourselves as very mass market and wanting to also open up the fashion e-commerce space to a wide range of people. So this includes everybody from one of our best customers, Yvette. She's European. She's used to buying things from Amazon and these types of players in Europe or in the US. When she saw our selection and our offering and our quick delivery, she started to become one of our best customers just by converting over from her usual spend in Europe to local spend. On the other end of the spectrum, one of our other best customers is quite different. I'll tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Hamdan. She's from Ras Al Khaimah, which is one of the tiny emirates in the UAE. And back when I was manning all of the phone calls when they came into the customer service line, I got a call from Hamdan, who had somehow stumbled upon Nemshi through one of our ads on Google or Facebook. That my partner, Louis Lebos, who's here right now in the audience managing the entire marketing team, must have put together. And she called us up and said, now, I see this product, I want it. How do I do this? What do I do? She had no concept of e-commerce or what to do. So we walked her through step by step through the process, and she paid cash on delivery. And now there isn't a week where we don't see an order from Hamdan, right, that we're shipping out, and she's become one of our actually best customers. So it ranges everything from Yvette, who used to buy from Europe, to now Hamdan and a lot of people like her who aren't used to ever buying online or didn't have that experience before.
Interesting, thank you. So, you know, you're based in England, you have a European payment gateway, we have Bank Audi as a key sponsor at this event. I wonder if there are any bankers in the audience that might want to address this later in the questions, because I think this is something that might be holding a lot of e-commerce back potentially, but we'll get to that later. Let me put my advertising hat on for a moment, because I'm here under Ogilvy One. You have very interesting audiences for a lot of clients that agencies have. You have a transactional audience. You have, you know, the mother and baby segment is key. You know, from our research, we find that people are at their most vulnerable to being marketed to at that stage. The luxury segment also very desirable for the Middle East. And still fashion in general, one of those things that everyone wants to get their hands on. So I want to ask you all about customer segmentation. I want to ask you about some trends. Just give us some inside figures on what you're seeing going on your platforms. And also perhaps a bit about, you know, how are you measuring that? Do you use an external company to do customer segmentation? Do you do it in-house? What goes on there? If we could start with Mona.
Customer segmentation, we cater to the mother, primarily, or the parent, who has children from the age of 0 to 12. The mother, and particularly the first-time mother, is probably the single most information-hungry and impressionable target out there. She's essentially the consumer who has the most to lose by making the wrong purchase decision. So because of that, what she does is she's online, she's searching, she's researching, she's understanding, so that she can make that decision on what's the right thing, the safe thing, the value for money product to buy for her children. Because the first-time mother's psychographic is very different than the second-time mother, and because the mother who has children from the age of 0 to 2 is very different from the mother who has a child from 2 to 4, we segment based on age. I will share a couple of statistics that are very relevant. According to Nielsen, 68% of purchase decisions are made by mothers in the period 3 months prenatally to 3 months postnatally. That means that if you capture that mother at that very critical, impressionable period, you've essentially got her for at least the first 2 years of the child's life. And in essence, 78% of the products that she selected will stay with her for the first 2 years. That's hugely powerful. So what that means for us as a playing field is as long as we can talk to that demographic and that psychographic using her tonality, using her language, and giving her the product that she seeks in a comprehensive fashion with transparent and complete information, we have essentially caught that consumer for an extended period of time. And really that's what makes our particular proposition a very compelling and important one.
Thank you. Okay, Russia.
Well, I'll start with a statistic because I think the luxury goods market in the Middle East is about $7 billion. So I think right now the amount of that spent online is very small. But what we do know is websites like Net-a-Porter already make around 8% of their sales in the Middle East. Matches said that their e-commerce in the Middle East is growing by about 300%, and the numbers are continuing in the triple digits. So we know that this is a market that is very excited to be online and has never been targeted. So it is a very large opportunity to be looking into.
Are you able to tell, through perhaps your associated marketing activities, if the people are, the gender of the people, you know, maybe a man is buying a gift for his wife, maybe it's jewelry or something, and perhaps the ages or any associated interest or behavioral data that they might have?
Well, Dia Style has a whole community aspect to it. So there's a whole, what we call play and talk with fashion. And so you have to register and sign up. What's interesting is a lot of people sign up as men and with fake names. So your data is a little bit skewed, but we do know that it's sort of the 25 to 35-year-old female coming in. So it's a bit skewed, but we know that it's primarily driven by women rather than sort of men buying gifts, but it's more women. What we do see is women using men's credit cards, though, their husband's cards, to buy gifts for themselves.
Interesting. Okay. Mohammed, can you tell me about some segmentation with regards to repeat purchases? How do you measure that? Are you actively pushing to your high-value customers? You're able to identify who those are?
Yep. Well, Hamdan.
Yes.
Right. Let me tell you a little bit about when we were first starting, when Louis, Hussam, and I first sat down and were co-founding the business in October. We were trying to think about, okay, what does our customer look like? And what kind of product do we need to bring to this market, and how is that perhaps different from other markets? Right? So our initial impression, especially about a Dubai, UAE, and Gulf-wide market, is that it's more upscale, like brand conscious and looking for things that are perhaps more expensive than you would find in other markets. So what we did is that we actually made a couple of our very first purchases that we made and brought into inventory have unfortunately been ones that have been the worst purchases that we made in terms of sell-through. What we found to be very much popular with a broad segment, since we see ourselves as really targeting a mass market for e-commerce, is a very well-priced product that does not even necessarily need to be recognized at all. In fact, we've brought in just private label, completely unknown shoes to our site and has become one of our top sellers. So these types of findings actually were pretty shocking to us. We were convinced of our own perspective of the market, and then once we actually had these tests and actually trying to market across Google, across Facebook, and see what trickles through in a mass market kind of a way. We found that that things that are competitively priced, obviously meeting the local taste and everything, had much more success than perhaps a known brand.
Okay. How many people access your sites on mobile? Do you have those figures, any of you?
Yeah, we have that figure.
Okay, how much percentage?
None. We haven't started mobile yet.
Okay, but people aren't browsing the site and it's still coming up. People aren't trying to type it in, or you don't know. I mean, rather than having a mobile optimized site, they can still access your site perhaps on a mobile?
We haven't focused on mobile yet, so we're not really studying it at this stage. Having said that, though, mobile is imperative. It's very important for an e-commerce play to get down that route and to do it right. And it's not a trickle effect. It's not the haphazard assessment and analysis. You really need to, once you've decided to go mobile, you need to do it fully fledged and correctly.
But I think this is quite interesting because you have different, slightly different demographics, or quite different demographics, right? So when we look at the behavior of a mother and the if you like, the funnel, the purchase funnel she goes through, is it more, does she take more time? Would she be kind of sitting, perhaps using a desktop or a tablet rather than a mobile, which we associate with on the go? When we look at luxury consumers, we see a lot of rich media things that can go on there, which is perfect for the mobile, maybe some AR, something else. And then when we come to Namshi products, I've often found myself at the last minute, I'm suddenly going out, I need something, obviously the delivery is not that quick, but or something comes up, so perhaps I might be more inclined as I'm going through the day just to flick through things. So I think when we look at the behavior of each of your audience, it might give us a clue into what to do. Do you have people visiting from the mobile?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have people who are visiting from tablets and making purchases through that. That's actually growing quite a bit, and we through just our normal site. So similarly, we don't have any special interface now, apps or programs for mobile or for tablets. But the indications so far are that people are, especially for lifestyle type purchases, as you said, enjoy to sit back and maybe use a tablet or perhaps a mobile device in order to find a product when they're free to be able to make a purchase.
And they've actually completed the transaction on
the tablet.
Very
exactly.
Interesting. And what about yourself, Rasha? What has your experience been?
Again, we're sort of seeing, but it's been, for us, it's been much more, we've been looking at it much more, as Mona has, more in the future. And I think what's interesting about what you've been saying is actually trying to say a tablet is much more of you're sitting on the couch and the TV's on, but then you start to read the content side or the sort of getting the review side of what the products are about rather than the direct consumer to purchase. While on the mobile phone, it's much more, oh, I'm out, I saw this really cool dress, but they didn't have my size. Let me check if Dia Style has it, and then I can go order it right there, and then I've got it right there. So I think there is a different activity for each kind of mobile application that we can do, or mobile browsing that can be done. And so with Muna, we're sort of in that phase of trying to understand our customer better to make sure that we offer the best thing to that. But we're seeing definitely the traffic to the site is mobile, and we see it growing a bit more and more, BlackBerry and Android and iPhone. So.
Okay, so the final question I'm going to ask before I give it to the floor for questions. I'm sure all of you are doing some social outreach. I've seen Mom's World on the Facebook page seems to be very heavily trafficked. I see your ads all over the place.
That's the
And actually, I haven't interacted too much with Dia, but I heard about you a year or two ago. So if you could just give us a very quick snapshot of what is the most, shall we say, the marketing campaigns that convert the best for you? If you could start.
So we've been, we strongly believe in digital marketing and have been testing across Google, Facebook, and others, and have found that it is a challenging market. I mean, it's still, as we were saying, it's still very new. A lot of people are just curious. They click through, but don't actually end up converting. So that's something that goes back to education, and it goes back to making sure that we're super targeted.
And
but we've been saying... Yeah.
I suppose you can't really change your landing pages too much if you have a set product page, right? So if you're coming through, sometimes what we do is we try and make the landing page a little bit more appealing. People have clicked through to a site, let's say, and maybe we could change a piece of copy or something. How you just tweak the...
Yeah, so what we do is we actually have, we're doing very targeted kinds of ads. So if they're geographically based and based on exactly what you're looking for. So if you're in the Gulf or in Egypt where we sell to, and you do any searches for brand names or searching for shoes and clothing and these types of things, you will see very specific ad copy around what you're looking for. And then when you click through onto those ads, you're sent to a relevant landing page where there's product and selection that actually meets what you're looking for. Now, that said, you would expect that to perform wildly better than Facebook, which is much more, if you will, much less targeted in such a specific word-wise. But we're also seeing Facebook perform quite well. So I think that's just testament to the fact that the market is still very, very nascent. It's still quite challenging in terms of finding the right type of ad copy, the right kind of targeting, and we've actually found quite a bit of success in our Facebook ads.
Interesting. Okay, if we can go on to Mum's World, so much more of a community there. Are you finding the social sites are driving conversions, or is it just plain old ads, or how does it work?
I'd like to start first by prefacing my answer. I think it's important. For all you entrepreneurs out there, we are, if you like, your pure entrepreneurial play. What does that mean? I'm one of the co-founders of Bait.com. I was with Bait 11 years ago with Rabia, who was sitting in the previous panel when we founded Bait. And at that time, really all our marketing was, if you like, creative, tactical marketing. And we got a lot of leverage through, if you like, smart play. And that playing field still holds today. So when we launched Mum's World, we didn't come on board with huge, thematic, aggressive marketing budgets. Rather, what we did is we did it tactically. So we did a lot of community tactical approaches. So for example, our target, we know where they go, whether it's hospitals or daycare centers or schools or play areas. So tactically, we reached out for all these communities. That's a zero-cost marketing play. And because there's the direct interaction, it's hugely successful when it comes to conversion. The other thing that we did is Facebook. Now, Facebook worked phenomenally for us. Again, because this is a community of moms who want to meet moms and want to interact with moms. So our Facebook took off very, very quickly. Again, the conversions on Facebook with low cost are great. You probably haven't seen us a lot on, unlike you guys, on the Googles of the world, etc. Although I have no doubt at all that the conversions through a Google SEM campaign would be high. I say again, our vertical is very, very unique. The trickle effect, the viral effect of our vertical is like wildfire because moms talk to moms, parents talk to parents, and that's the advantage that we've gotten.
Great, very interesting. Does luxury need any marketing at all?
Yeah, I was going to say it's women talking to each other about the best product. So, look, we don't need to market the brands because the brands speak for themselves, so that makes it much easier. I mean, someone who knows that this is the Stella McCartney bag of the season knows that this is the Stella McCartney bag of the season. What's been quite interesting for us is we've been focusing very much on the social side because we have the community play. But going forward, one of the things we are looking to do is try and play on the fact that the site is also in Arabic. And I think this is something that is just interesting to highlight because the fact that these products are now available in Arabic, we've translated something like 700 designers into Arabic. It's the first time that all of these luxury brands are now searchable in Arabic. Is quite a big deal. Even we were laughing about how do you translate a jumpsuit into into Arabic. And
Have you used Cordoba?
no, we actually did that in-house, but it's been sort of a learning. And then how do you do the search keyword for it? Do you do the word jumpsuit, because maybe someone would actually use the word jumpsuit, or do you actually use the real word? So it's been quite interesting to look at the whole search environment and the social environment in Arabic as well, even from looking, because we try to use a lot of the female forums, and in Qatar a handbag is different than it is in Lebanon, and it's different. So it's also trying to make sure that we get the right lingo to make them feel comfortable with the world of luxury online in Arabic as
Very
well.
interesting. I could pick all of your brains for many more hours, but I won't. If we can start with some questions from the floor. Anybody? Yes, with a pen over there. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amr Al-Gabri. I'm a telecom consultant. I have a question regarding the business model on vertical integration. So as I understand, most of the e-commerce model we talked about today is you're acting the role of a retailer. Do you have behind you an offline distributor or another offline retailer which you deal with, or you deal directly with the suppliers? And how do you counter the threat of having a big online retailer acting as a one-stop shop, aggregating all the products, whether through their warehouses or their network? And because most of the startups in front of us are more of niche startups.
Very interesting question. Do you want to take that
Sure.
to start with?
So we work with everything from directly the brands in Europe and in the US, and actually buy products and bring it into our warehouse in Dubai, to distributors that are local in the markets, right? So we work closely with Shalhoub Group that has some of the major brands like Polo and Lacoste, etc. We buy from them in Dubai, and we bring it into our warehouse. So we have kind of different models around sourcing. But we, as I was saying earlier, want to have everything in-house and then ship out from there. So that's how we've been structuring our products and how we're bringing them into our market. And so there's quite a bit of opportunity there in order to I guess you can really optimize around building strong relationships with local distributors, because that's kind of the easiest first step. But then the real differentiator is like one of our team members went to Brazil and brought on about 40, 50 different Brazilian brands that just don't exist in the GCC market, and made buys from there to bring over to us. So it's kind of there's a lot of different angles to it. It's a great question.
Do you have anything to add, Mona?
We work on a similar model in the sense that we work with manufacturers, distributors, and retailers. The difference in our model is that when we do go to the principal, let's say, for example, car seats. When you're in a brick and mortar structure, a traditional toy store, you're limited by the buyer and the buyer's budget. So essentially, each buyer is given a budget to buy X number of car seats, X number of toys, X number of beds for the baby, etc. And that's their budget that essentially limits them, and based on a track record. We do it differently. We essentially go to the manufacturer or the distributor, and we say, our job is to empower the parent with the choice. So I don't want one of each, I want the catalog for the season. So I have 20 Chicos, 20 Greycos, 20 Peg Perregos, and the limitation is only the consumer's choice. So really, again, I come back to what I said earlier, it's all about empowerment and transparency of information. So you really do know what's out there in the market. I'm a mother of 3 children. And as a mother of 3 children, you feel very limited because you don't have that choice. And what we're trying to do is put everything under one umbrella by giving access to the catalog. Now, the distributors and the manufacturers love the concept. And this is why we've been able to take off with such a large number of products very, very quickly, because they're able to showcase their products to a wider audience and move them much faster.
Thank you. Can we have another question? Over there on the left with the red scarf.
Hi, Desiree El-Shibir, Endeavor, Lebanon. My question is to three of you is, what has been your biggest headache in setting up those ventures? And as a follow-on question to that, I understand that taxation law is not the greatest when you're dealing with retail that has to deal with returns. So what have been your experiences there, and what are some of the lessons learned?
Okay, so biggest headache, shall we start from that end?
We've never had a headache. No. I think there are always hurdles at every point. We're very much month by month driven company. We're sort of personally funded and, you know, sort of catching every dollar at every point. So, you know, wherever we can save $100, we're saving $100, but it's sometimes a headache to try and count your pennies. But, and then growing at the same time. But I think it's always, for us, it's been quite interesting from a development perspective, because we've sort of put a lot of pieces together, from bringing together 50,000 products to getting a search functionality working, to get it to working in Arabic. And so I think perhaps not a headache, but an exciting hurdle of trying to resolve and to develop was the whole side of taking something that is already accessible in English and bringing it into an Arabic playing field.
Thank you. Mona, I'm sure you've faced a lot of obstacles.
An e-commerce play is essentially only as good as the execution and the consumer experience. So insofar that you can make the consumer experience from the moment she accesses your website till the time she receives her product in her hand, insofar that you can make that seamless, you've essentially done your job. And any stage thereabout that your experience is not seamless is essentially a potential headache for us. We are very hard on ourselves when it comes to the customer experience. We have very, very stringent guidelines on what happens when an order comes in, how we package that product, how we personalize that product, and how, if the consumer calls us with questions or queries or even complaints, we can accommodate that. At the end of the day, the consumer, and again, I come back to our particular consumer, who is probably the single most vulnerable consumer out there, because she has more to lose. So we really have to push ourselves to try a bit harder. So not a headache, rather a challenge that we put upon ourselves every single day. And probably that's why our customer relations department is actually the largest department in our organization. I personally, as the CEO of the organization, spend 3 hours every single day in that department. And that's, you know, that's a mandatory, so that I have the, you know, my finger on the pulse of the consumer experience.
Very interesting. Can I just, if I'm not mistaken, Namshi is part of a larger group that has very similar concepts running elsewhere in the world. So was it very easy for you to just replicate what you've done elsewhere and set it up here, or did you have some obstacles?
Yeah, there's a lot of obstacles, obviously, with this market being quite a bit different from the others in terms of its nascent nature. One of the obstacles that we've been facing, one of the challenges really is finding the right kind of talent. And we are a organization that really believes in also developing people. And one of our core mantras as founders is that we really want to develop the next generation of entrepreneurs within the region. So every step that we take, we're always thinking about, okay, where do we find the best people? How do we bring them on? In fact, Louis and I tomorrow will be interviewing a great list of candidates from AUB, and we have already brought on several people from AUB, from Lebanon and across the region to the company, and are always on the lookout for people who are just hungry for a hands-on practical experience in e-commerce and in this space. So finding talent like that really wants to grow has been one of our driving forces, if you will. And this market, you know, as you'd mentioned, yes, we're taking a concept which has been proven around the world to be very, very effective, right? Whether it's in Europe or the United States, which is selling fashion online. And we know the GCC and the Middle East in general is very much a consumer marketplace, and they do spend a lot of money in malls and a lot of time in malls, right? So when we look at this opportunity, we look at it as really not just taking a chunk out of a small but growing e-commerce market, but we view the opportunity really as taking a chunk out of the entire retail market and within the region. And so the challenges faced and the opportunities faced are quite a bit different in this market as opposed to others.
So I'm just going to bounce back to you again and ask the same question as I did to Rabia and the others on the last panel. In that case, are you snapping up all the talent? You know, should other people be worried? Are you because you know you're quite a large organization, you could perhaps muscle in and hurt other startups that are also maybe looking for the same talent. Is that a strategic play of yours?
I mean, the strategic play is for us at least, is to reach out to the best talent in the market, to tell them about what we're up to, what the opportunity is, and to find the people who are truly committed to that kind of environment. So we're not going into the market and doubling people's salaries and bringing and pulling people, poaching people out like that.
Okay.
We are finding as I think everybody in this kind of a space is looking for the right kind of talent that's really energized and dedicated to, as I think Dan was mentioning in the panel before, to dedicating themselves to really building up a company. So,
okay. Thank you.
Can I add to that, actually, because that's a very important point. When you look at, again, a pure entrepreneurial play, to a large extent, particularly in the beginning, you rely largely on a vision that you can sell to a leader, essentially, or a fellow entrepreneur. So when you don't have the deep budget, essentially what is driving you to get the better talent or the leaders out there is the vision, and to sell them on that vision, and to empower them to be part of that growth. And really, this is a challenge that I think a lot of us startups face. How do you get the creme de la creme of the talent out there without the deep budgets? And yeah.
It's a tough market. Okay, if there's one more question, okay, lady in the back there. And then I think it's quite late and everyone probably wants to go home. So one last question, thank you.
Thank you for taking my question. My name is Sarah and I'm from shoechic.com. I just have a little question. Why have you chosen e-payment gateways that are in Europe? And was it difficult to actually approach them? Did they collaborate with you? I mean, why didn't you use somebody from the Middle East? Why did you use a European e-payment?
From our perspective, we chose a European gateway just to buy a speed, really. I mean, we had some relationships with one of the gateways in Europe to get us up and running very quickly. So our team came together in October, and by December, we actually had about 30 brands and in our warehouse. We had the website up and running. We were selling, we had marketing going, we had our logistics set up and all of that within that span of time. And it would have taken another couple of months after that to get one of the local players to kind of get everything from the technology to the, all of that together, right? It would have just taken too long. And now that we've launched with them, things are going pretty well. Well, obviously, we're always looking at, payments and what are ways to expand. As I was saying earlier, we're looking at imminently bringing PayPal to the forefront and perhaps other options for payments. But they were the fastest and the best in the beginning.
Were they open to working with the Middle East e-commerce company?
Yes.
They were. Yeah. They didn't have any restrictions, the fact that you were based in the Middle East?
Where's your company is what she's asking.
So we had. So we are part of a global network of companies as well, so that helped in making that happen. So I can see the potential challenge working with one of these companies without that kind of a track record and back.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, panelists, for your time today and your expertise. Some really good insights, I think, especially on the marketing and the obstacle side there. Thank you very much, audience, for lasting this long. That's been the end of e-commerce.